So pretty much all these little tidbits that I've been throwing out that you might have been watching are all things that mostly deal with verbal communication, talking and listening kind of thing. But another way to communicate, another way to speak is to speak a love language. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with this concept, but it's been around a really long time. There's a great book out there. It's called The 5 Love Languages. And basically what it says is, when people do things for us or say things to us, there's some things that really make us feel like, oh man, that person really likes me. That person really loves me. And then there's other things people can say and do for us that we're just like, oh, okay, that was okay. But it doesn't really, oh my goodness, that was awesome. And so depending on what we do or say to somebody can really help them feel loved. And other ones, they might not that they feel hated, but they just don't feel as loved as they could. And these are the 5 love languages. It's giving somebody a gift. You give them a gift and they're just like, oh my goodness, this is the best thing ever. And that's a great way to communicate with them. And they'll really start to listen to you and engage with you. And this is this idea of creating the on-ramp to conversation. It's like, if you know someone's a gift receiver, then that's a way that you can create an on-ramp to good conversations and just to build a healthy relationship. Another love language is time. Again, time is important, and a lot of people like time, but there's some people who really, really love it and crave it. So you might you might make a date with one of your kids, and it was a good time. You had good conversation. It was a healthy thing to do, and you'll do it again. It was good. But then you might have another kid where you give them their time, and it's just like they're just over the top excited about the date that they get to have with mom or dad, and they just can't stop saying how awesome it is, and they just keep loving it. You can just see the reaction in them is different, and it's because their love language is time. Another love language is words of affirmation. We could say to one of our kids, hey man, you did a really good job. And they're like, okay, cool, thanks dad. And then you say it to another one of your kids and you just see their countenance change and they perk up a little bit and a smile comes across their face because we've given them a word of affirmation. We've spoken a word to them. Another love language, the 4th one, is touch. So just being able to touch somebody, giving a back rub. Oh, my girls, they will sit in front of their grandma and just say, oh, grandma, will you please give us a back rub? Just because the touch of grandma is something that helps our girls feel loved by grandma. Other kids could kind of care less. They might not care too much. And then the last one is acts of service, doing something kind for somebody, doing a chore for somebody, making your kids' bed for them, doing something, bring them treats when they're watching a movie with their friends and to bring them something. So doing something nice for them, taking care of them, that's the way they really feel loved. So acts of service, touch, encouraging words, giving them time, and giving gifts. Those are the 5 love languages all of us have. And again, we like all those things. Those are all good things, but usually there's 1 or 2 that we really love. And maybe as you're even thinking about it, you're realizing, yeah, there's one of those in there that I love it when my wife or a friend does those things for me. If you figure out what your kid's love language is, then help that kind of be a different way of thinking about conversation. Make sure you're doing those things for your kid to help them feel loved. And I think when they feel loved, that is then creating the on-ramp for healthy conversations. A really good example of love languages working and not working is a story I heard between a man and a woman. A husband-wife. They go to a counselor. They're trying to talk through their issues, trying to figure out how to love each other better. The wife complains and says, well, after dinner every night, I go in and sit on the couch and I watch some TV, and my husband goes in the kitchen. He leaves me. He abandons me. He goes into the kitchen and he does the chores. And I just feel like he doesn't love me anymore because he doesn't want to spend any time with me. And then the counselor talked to the husband, and the husband said, yeah, we get done with dinner every night. And I tell my wife, go into the living room, put your feet up, relax. I'll go take care of the dishes and take care of that so you can have a clean kitchen and don't have to worry about it. Okay, so this is what's happening here. The husband is speaking acts of service. He's doing an acts of service for his wife. Only trouble is his wife's main love language is time. So here he is trying to do something to show her that he loves her. Not that it's bad to do chores, but he's really trying to make sure that she knows he loves him. And she's over here thinking, why isn't he giving me time? I want time. I want him to leave the dishes in there, come into the living room, and then sit with me. So if your kids are in that same type of situation where you keep, buying your kid cool toys, and it's like, man, I want him to know that I love him, and I want to be able to give him cool things. And it's just like, man, they just never seem really interested. Well, maybe your kid's main love language isn't receiving gifts, but maybe it's words of affirmation. And he just needs you to say, hey, buddy, you did a good job today. Hey, man, I love you. And, oh, I love how you handled that situation with one of your friends. You look like you're the best friend in the world compared to all the kids in the neighborhood. Maybe that's how they would hear that. So find out what their love language is and then speak that one. And that will help create a healthy on-ramp to conversations.